their stories and to share with you their experiences, their needs, and why they're here today. Officially, we have Gloria, Debra, Beverly, Tamara, and Amanda on the panel, and we have joining us Sunny and Krissy, Michelle, and Ginny and Sabrina, and each of them will introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves. Statistically, women are about 10% of the exonerees. Everyone, male, female, is a human being, and that's what this is all about. So, I invite you to listen to their voices, hear their important messages, and please participate also from the audience and join in the conversation, because that's what this is all about. This morning we heard about listening. This morning we heard about hearing. We heard about the need for community. So please join us. So our first exoneree is Gloria Killian.
That's the part there wasn't any warning about. Now you tell me. My name is Gloria Killian. I was incarcerated for 17 and a half years on a total sentence of 32 years to life. I was originally charged with the death penalty. I was arrested, charged with the death penalty over a home invasion robbery that happened in the town where I lived. And after 3.5 months, the case was dismissed because there was no evidence against me. But once the perpetrators were brought to justice, on the day that he was sentenced, one of the perpetrators went back to the jail, picked up the phone, called the district attorney and said, "I can help you." And help him, he did. I was rearrested. I was again charged with the death penalty, despite the fact that they knew that it was a false statement. And fortunately, I fought the death penalty and I got out from under that. Instead, I was convicted and sentenced to 32 years to life. After my release, I felt that the most important thing that I needed to do was to talk, was to tell everybody what I knew about what went on inside. It's taken a long time for the rest of the world to understand, one, how miserable and rotten the criminal justice system is in the United States. Two, how many tremendous mistakes we make. And three, the fact that women are the forgotten victims of this particular system. We have almost no assets. The few things that we can find to help ourselves with, we have found for ourselves. The fact that there are this many women sitting up here should be a sad keynote to the fact as to how many women are inside that will never, ever be released. Because women don't usually talk. They usually just go ahead and carry the cross. And that's one of the things that we have to change. But first of all, we have to change the entire criminal justice system.
Zieva first told us that we should concentrate on what happened to us afterwards, meaning now, and what happened after we were exonerated. But I'll just give you a quick review. I was 55 years old when this happened to me. It was 1992, so I'm, I guess, the senior female exoneree here. Well, one of us is not telling the truth. But it was such a bizarre experience, and I think one of the things you have to keep in mind is this can happen to anybody, and it can happen so easily and so quickly that you can't possibly imagine. First, you can't imagine it could happen to you, and then you don't know what to do, and you assume that so there's something just in the system. And as Gloria said, that's just not true. And I had to always tell myself, had there been anything, anyone, anything thing at all straight in the system. It couldn't have happened in the first place. There would not have been any accusation because in my case unquote, there was no crime. And the authorities knew it from the beginning. It was a suicide, and that was enough to grieve over. And then we had the horrible experience of my being convicted. And obviously it doesn't take any evidence. And there we were. And then we had to fight through it. There was no help from an Innocence Project. I did not have a death sentence, but I was 55 and a 22-year sentence, and it had taken my life and my children's lives. And so we did it ourselves, and with the help of my daughter, who just graduated from law school, fortunately. But again, that's like asking someone to do brain surgery who's just gotten out of med school. You don't necessarily know what to do, and you always have trust. So we got through it. It was a long, long struggle. My grandson is here also. He was not even born when this happened to me, and I was just telling some of the other women, he was at the first National Innocence Project Conference in Chicago when he was, what, 3 or 6 months old, I can't remember. 3, wearing his little t-shirt that said, "Free my Mimi." And he was a big hit, and that attracted attention. So we did all kinds of things and to try to get this thing cleared up. But again, with women, it's much harder. There's no DNA. There's a story, and in many, many cases, a completely false story, a narrative, if you will, and often based on things to make women out to be, in a medieval sense, not in control of their emotions, not able to be independent or intelligent or thinking or to be strong or any of these things, that they go bonkers and they're out of control, and therefore they would have done these terrible things. And it's all kind of a myth, and it's a myth that needs to be destroyed. So we got through it, and Zieva, do you want me to continue about where we are now? And okay, do I have another minute or two? Okay. When this happened to me, I had a great career, great job, and I built my own home, and 3 kids in college. KJ had just finished grad school, and my other daughter, who can't be here, was a senior at William and Mary. I was the sole parental support, and my son was living at home with me and going to college. It just took away all of that, and I really lost everything, almost from day one, but certainly by the time I was convicted. I lost my home eventually. I only spent 7 years in prison because I was out on appeal bond, but I was working, and this is the other point of this, and I'm sure all of these women here worked very hard on their freedom and the truth while they were in prison, and I was lucky to be out on appeal bond for a while. So, having lost all of that, it was hard to come back. I came out of prison in 2002 at age 65. And we still had a 1.5 years to go of appeals because the state doesn't want to lose. And we had no guarantee that I wouldn't have to go back. But again, we got lucky, and we had to do a lot of hard work and got through this. Then I had to get the record expunged. I couldn't even get a job. I have a graduate degree in chemistry and had lots of good work experience. But not only was I 65, which is a strike against you to get a job, but this story to tell. And people would be empathetic, but they don't know what to do with you. You're not a normal person anymore. So it doesn't matter how much confidence you have or experience or even resources. Again, I was fortunate to have some resources. So again, we got through this. My family was so remarkable, and but it damages you. You cannot ever be the same. You don't have the same trust, not only in the system, but I was naive before I realized that, but I think most citizens are. So you don't have the same sense of belonging, even in this country, that state of Virginia, even in anywhere, no matter where you go. You've got this different thing that happened to you, and very few people understand it. Fortunately, that's changing some. So thank you, Zieva, for having this kind of opportunity to talk about it. I work with the William and Mary Law School. It's Innocence Project clinic there. And I'm working with some other prisoners who were convicted by this, cases were set up by the same state police agent and the same state that did this to me, and they have life sentences. and there's not much hope. So I hope to take back with me hope for them, and more ways to think about changing this system and making it better. And that's about preventing these from happening, which will be economically effective for the country and for the state, and just honest and truth in the justice system. How nice would that be?
Oh, these are some of your pictures.
Oh, I didn't get it. Do you want me to? Here, just comment. That's Katie coming out of law school, and us at home. We had a nice, there's my younger daughter there in the middle, and she's a teacher. This is how we survived. There's Asher when he was a little bit older. Still a little bit bewildered, but he's not anymore. And yet you see we're all smiling. And even my mugshot was smiling. People would ask me why. I don't know, I do it a lot. And, that's one thing, they took a lot away from me, but I don't want them to take that away. This was, I think you can see what it does to the families right there. I was coming out, you see it's on the right is the pro bono attorney that helped us, but honestly, it was really Katie and a whole group, a whole country of people and supporters that made this possible for me to even be sitting here today. That was Asher again. He brought me a little dandelion. He knows I like flowers. And we finally had a sense of vindication and victory, but we didn't even know how to get out of the parking lot of the prison. That was the group hug. That's my son in the middle. Here's our victory. I was told I couldn't go to Washington, D.C. because I was too dangerous. It's the crime capital of the world. But we're standing in front of the monument. And the other part of that, I shouldn't probably tell Katie, but she was so determined. One last thing, as part of recovery. That's the judge, the senior federal judge that overturned my case, Judge Richard Williams. And I got a call from his office. Gosh, it was about maybe 1 or 2 years after I moved to Williamsburg. I bought a home. He wanted to meet me and take me out to lunch and show me the new federal courthouse. So I drove up to Richmond, and sure enough, I met all of his staff. And we became friends, and we had lots of lunches together and talks about his frustration with the justice system. That was really, really an eye-opener for me, but we had lots in common. So it was a wonderful, wonderful way, another bizarre way to end all of this whole experience. And it brings to mind one of the things that people never get to do, that is talk to the people who were involved in their convictions or their releases, because why not? You need some human understanding of how this happens, and even someone like a senior federal judge, he was very pleased with having overturned this, but he could have been overturned, you know. So it's just, he didn't have that much power over this system. And I still get threats, or got threats from the prosecutor that they could do it to me again, even after I was free. So it was nice to have the friendship of Judge Williams. Thought it was a backup, but also because he was a wonderful, wonderful person, a justice champion, and we lost him 3 years ago. So that's been a sad blow, but he's done a lot for justice. He also overturned another case after this in Virginia. Oh. My little justice warriors. These are what keep you going. This is my littlest justice warrior, and he's my smallest grandson. And all the families here I know share this, of exonerees, but you don't have a chance to have a family, you know. Your children don't have a chance to get married and do normal things. So that's my littlest justice warrior. And, Asher's my big one. He's my biggest supporter. Thank you, Zieva.
Thank you.
My name is Tamara McAnally, and I was convicted of a white-collar crime in 2004. I pled guilty, and my story is a little different than the ladies up here, is where my guilty plea allowed me not to go to prison. I didn't have to go to prison. And this is my 4th conference, and for the last 4 conferences, I've kind of felt guilty that I wasn't incarcerated because I couldn't.
Pleading guilty again?
You still got time.
No, but and you hear, I heard somebody yesterday, and then she just said only, the word only. And Zieva helped me learn that I was still, my name was ruined, I didn't have a reputation anymore. And people now, even now, after getting my finding of factual innocence, they still have that doubt. It's hard to get on with your life. Somebody told me that the other day, why don't you just get on with your life? Because I've been working with a friend of mine to help other people who are convicted for the same crime. And that's pretty much what keeps me going, is helping other people. And my goal is to go to law school, and so to be the voice for other people who've been convicted, and especially for people who are on the inside, because I know in my case, 12 years, nobody listened to me, and I wanted them to hear me. And it took one in particular lawyer who finally sat down and listened to me for 3 hours. And he said, let's nail it to the wall. And it was, finally, somebody was listening to me, and he's been my power source. Our agreement was that I would do all the work, the legwork, I would write the writs, he would be the brain and the name, because he was known, you know, in San Diego as a very good attorney. So he said, okay, let's you know, you'll do it. So my first writ, or the brief, was picture. I did a cut and paste picture, bullet point, picture. And it told my story. I showed, you know, the things that my attorney could have showed years ago that showed that I was innocent. But my attorney never even filed one document in my case. So I had, because nobody was listening to me, I had to start fighting on my own, just like the other women. You have to be an advocate for yourself. And I strongly believe that, I guess not being on the inside, being on the outside, I can be the voice for other people. I will listen to them. And I'll believe them unless something proves different. You know, so that's my story, and I hope to go to law school and do that.
My name is Amanda Knox. I spent 4 years in prison. It took 8 years to fully exonerate me, and it involved, so I was arrested in 2007, I was convicted in 2009, I was acquitted in 2011, I was convicted again, and then I was finally fully exonerated again. It was for a murder that I did not commit, that was highly sensationalized. I really felt what was going on with the San Antonio Four, because they also brought Satanism into mine, and like, you know, I feel for our male exonerees, because the prosecution portrays them like beasts, and then they portray women like beasts with horns and fangs and wings that spit blood, and like I hear that because it's the sensationalism that they do that totally dehumanizes you and disarms you from even being able to defend yourself. And I think the other thing that really strikes me about women's cases, and I wonder if there's ever been a specific research into this, but my case involved a false confession where my roommate was murdered. That same day I was in a police interrogation room, and over 4 days I was interrogated for 53 hours, which ultimately led to me feeling like I was insane, and I was told that I had amnesia, and that I had suffered a trauma and therefore knew who the murderer was, and I just needed to point him out.